Tomorrow marks a year since the passing of Nelson Mandela, one of the most recognized names globally. This evening, we examine whether the Mandela brand equity increased over the past year or has interest waned. Alan Demby, the CEO of the South African Gold Coin Exchange, and Tebe Kalafeng, the Managing Director of Brand Leadership, join us for their insights. Gentlemen, thank you, and thank you for making the time to join us. Tebe, let's start off with you. Are we able to quantify whether there's been an increase in the Mandela brand in the past year since his passing?
Well, in terms of monetary value, he's a really brand, if you will. But the way we can quantify it, or we can measure whether it's been an up or down, is how much we're missing. When we see as a continent, as a country, when we stumble, the value, the amount by which we're missing determines really the value to the country. You know, when people look at South Africa and they say, you know, it was a different country with Mandela, or sometimes they even say that it is what it is because of Mandela. That is the value to the country.
Alan, Lindsay Williams in Cape Town. Is this a money-making brand? Is it a brand that's going to be inspirational for the future? Is it a leadership brand? Is it a brand that's being managed properly? And I don't want to be nasty now, but you're selling coins on the back of Mandela. But that's not the real story here.
Well, it's true, Lindsay. We've been selling Mandela coins for the last 20 years. The truth is that it was only the last couple of years that people became more and more interested in Mandela as his status changed from being a freedom fighter to a politician to a diplomat to an icon. And I think that people wanted a piece of him, just like people want to buy T-shirts or wear presidential shirts. Somehow or other, people want to connect, and somehow or other, buying gold coins resonates with people. And the truth is that of all the things that you can buy, gold coins is one of those items that you actually hide and you put in your bottom drawer. So you're not really flashing it, you're just celebrating it and putting it away. It's something that you probably want to give to your children and your grandchildren, and it's really sort of, that's the way that you really remember and commemorate. And of course, what better way than with gold? Gold has been around for 6,000 years, and of course gold coins is something that kings and queens are represented on, and what better than Nelson Mandela himself?
Just a question in terms of the brand value. You know, you look at someone like Gandhi, and you know, we're talking almost 50 years after his death, he still resonates with people. You know, do we get that growth, you know, in that brand value over time?
You know, the Mandela brand, the Mandela name will forever be linked to South Africa, to the fortunes of South Africa. So over time, we will certainly appreciate who the man is. If you look at the country itself, our brand finance valuation of South Africa alone is worth $270 billion, and that is about 115% increase over the previous year. But if you look over the years as well, from when we started as a country 20 years ago, this is certainly a better country to live in. And that value of Nelson Mandela, because he is an enabling brand. He has enabled who we are and what we are today.
Alan, if we were to look at the last year in terms of sales of Mandela medallions in particular, or Mandela coins, can you give us a sense of who's buying? Where's the interest coming from? Is it the international community? Is it Africans? Is it South Africans more? Just to get a sense of with whom does the Mandela brand resonate most strongly with?
Well, over the last couple of years, a lot of South Africans have been buying Mandela, and a lot of white people have been buying Mandela medallions in the last number of years. It's true that it spiked in the last year or two, and I think it's fair to say that a lot of people came into the market looking to speculate and possibly make a quick buck. But I think today we have people who are genuinely interested in collecting coins. And I think I've said to you before that in the last 20 years, Nelson Mandela has done so much for brand South Africa. Old coins from 100 years ago, the old ZR Ponda, which depict Paul Kruger on, even those coins have appreciated substantially. So it's fair to say that Nelson Mandela has done a great job for brand South Africa, and people want a piece of that, not only gold, but Nelson Mandela himself.
Perhaps also, you know, in the absence of being able to reduce him to a currency, a coin is an interesting denomination or whatever, or a vehicle to do that, because in many ways, how it appreciates in value is how the name Mandela is sustainable into the future. But I think the one point I should have made as well is that the value of Mandela is the ability and the potential of what South Africa can be as well.
Terry, Lindsay in Cape Town again, is the Mandela brand in good hands? Is the custodian looking after it and not shredding it, if you see what I mean, not taking advantage of it? Is it being used properly? In broader terms, not T-shirts, not gold coins, not whatever it is, but I mean charitable foundations, that sort of thing.
Well, Mandela's brand rests in a couple of custodians. The principal custodian where the Mandela brand rests is the people of South Africa and the struggle to create the South Africa that we have today. We have the responsibility to sustain who South Africa is and who Mandela fought for, because those values are embedded in who we are today and how we approach everything. Our ability to inspire new ways as a country embedded in the Mandela values. So we are the principal custodian. The second custodian, you could say, quote unquote, will be the government in place, because the government in place is supposed to create a better life for all. And in creating a better life for all, they are delivering on the promise of Mandela to make South Africa a different country from what it was 20 years ago. And the third custodian, if you will, you could say perhaps are the agencies like the Mandela or the Mandela Legacy. The Mandela Foundation, apologies, because their role is now to, quote unquote, to manage the technical management of the brand. There, you could say that what they're doing right now, in many ways, is good in one hand, you know, creating the Mandela Legacy and creating a place where we can all go and get a piece of Mandela's history and be able to, because it's important as South Africans and as Africans to ensure that that history of Mandela is embedded in our education and is embedded everywhere else. The fourth custodian, you would say, are the family who bear the name Mandela. Now, across all those four, we have challenges and we also have opportunities, and we've done some great things, and we can always do better.
Final one from you, Ashraf?
Look, you know, and my question is to you again in terms of the brand value. I think when one looks at it, you will only see the brand value increasing over time, because yes, there are lots of noises around the brand now, as you say, but I think when we look at his legacy and what he's done, it's been tried in many other different countries, you know, in the last 10, 15 years, and reconciliation has been exceptionally difficult. So what he achieved in South Africa, I still consider an absolute miracle. It's an absolute miracle, because we have done something that was never ever thought to be possible. I think the challenge, maybe it's back to what Lindsay's question was to you, Ellen, is the challenge that we have as the custodians of this brand is to ensure that we don't over-commercialize this brand, but rather that we internalize the brand. We live Mandela and we don't sell Mandela.
How do you respond to that, Ellen, that we shouldn't over-commercialize the brand and that we should live Mandela and not sell Mandela? Says the guy in the Mandela shirt, which I'm sure he bought at one of these lovely tours at the airport.
Well, I don't disagree with him, and that's why our advertising campaign of 2 or 3 years ago, We Love Mandela, is more about embracing him and everything that he stands for rather than selling him. And as you say, if you over-commercialize it, then you could diminish it in time. But of course, coins, precious metals, by its very nature, is something of value. And I think that has stood the test of time. And it's true that Nelson Mandela will stand the test of time.
Nelson Mandela will stand the test of time. And that's where we leave this conversation. A very big thank you to Ellen Demby. He is the CEO of the South African Gold Coin Exchange, and Tebe Kalafeng, the Managing Director of Brand Leadership. Straight after this, we take a look at whether the South African government is doing enough to clamp down on cybercrime. Don't go away.
Visit Business Tonight proudly sponsored by Neotel. Fast broadband, better voice services and safe costs. To switch, email switch@neotel.co.za. Neotel, inspiring possibilities.
Brightline, instruments for professionals.